Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayantiraya. Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 3, Hiranyakashipu's plan to become immortal. Text number 22 onwards. Shri Narad Uvacha Iti Uktva Dibhavo Devo Bhakshitangam Pepilika Kamandalu Jale Noksha Divye Namo Garadhasa. Sri Narad Muni continued, after speaking these words to Hiranyakashipu, Lord Brahma, the original being of this universe, who is extremely powerful, sprinkled transcendental, infallible spiritual water from his kamandalu upon Hiranyakashipu's body, which had been eaten away by ants and moths. Thus he enlivened Hiranyakashipu. Lord Brahma is the first created being within this universe and is empowered by the Supreme Lord to create. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavi, the first living being, was personally taught by the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the heart. There was no one to teach him, but since the Lord is situated within Brahma's heart, Brahma was educated by the Lord himself. Lord Brahma, being especially empowered, is infallible in doing whatever he wants. This is the meaning of the word Amogha Radhasa. He desired to restore Hiranyakashipu's original body, and therefore by sprinkling transcendental water from his water pot, he immediately did so. And so, as we know, Hiranyakashipu was doing tapasya for 100 celestial years, and his body was eaten up. Body means his whole flesh and the fat and the skin and bone marrow. Everything was eaten up by the ants, and ants had made an ant hill around his body. So he had somehow kept the soul within the bones. So Brahmaji, when he came and he sprinkled the transcendental water from his water pot, and Hiranyakashipu got his body back. And this transcendental water in his water pot, actually, when Lord Vamandev, we will read about him in 8th canto, when Vamandev extended his foot when he took the 3 steps of land from Bali Maharaj. So second foot when he extended, so it just went through the covering of the universe, and the hole was made in the covering of the universe. And through that hole, washing the lotus feet of Vamandev, came the water of this causal ocean. That causal ocean, and it washed the lotus feet of Lord Vamandev. So that water was first collected by Brahmaji in his Kamandal, and which later on it became Ganges. So that is the water in his Kamandal, and it is just transcendental spiritual water. But that is the water he carries with him. Satat Kichaka Valmikat Saha Ojo Balanvitaha Sarvavayava Sampanno Vajra Samhannano Yuva Utthitattas Tapta Hema Bhavo Vibhava Suri Vedasaha. As soon as he was sprinkled with the water from Lord Brahma's water pot, Hiranyakashipu arose, endowed with a full body with limbs so strong that he could bear the striking of a thunderbolt. With physical strength and a bodily luster resembling molten gold, he emerged from the hill, a completely young man, just as fire springs from fuel wood. So he got not just a new body, but a very nice body, very strong and bodily luster resembling molten gold. Hiranyakashipu was revitalized, so much so that his body was quite competent to tolerate the striking of thunderbolts. He was now a young man with a strong body and a very beautiful body luster resembling molten gold. This is a rejuvenation that took place because of his severe austerity and penance, and obviously the mercy of Brahmaji. स निरीक्ष्याम्बरे देवं हंसवाहमुपस्थितं ननाम शिरसा भूमौ तद्दर्शनम mahosava. Seeing Lord Brahma present before him in the sky, carried by his swan airplane, Hiranyakashipu was extremely pleased. He immediately fell flat with his head on the ground and began to express his obligation to the Lord. Whatever, so Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, whatever a man may sacrifice to other gods of son of Kunti is really meant for me alone, but it is offered without true understanding. I am the only enjoyer and the only object of sacrifice. Those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. So in other words, Krishna says persons engaged in the worship of demigods are not very intelligent, although such worship is indirectly offered to me. For example, when a man pours water on the leaves and branches of a tree without pouring water on the root, he does so without sufficient knowledge or without observing regulative principles. The process of watering a tree is to pour water on the root. Similarly, the process of rendering service to different parts of the body is to supply food to the stomach. The demigods are, so to speak, different officers and directors in the government of the Supreme Lord. One has to follow the laws made by the government, not by the officers or directors. Similarly, everyone is to offer his worship to the Supreme Lord only. That will automatically satisfy the different officers and directors of the Lord. The officers and directors are engaged as representative of the government, and to offer some bribe to the officers and directors is illegal. This is stated in Bhagavad Gita as avidhi purvakam. In other words, Krishna does not approve the unnecessary worship of the demigods. So worshipping the demigods and offering any austerities or any penances for their pleasure is, according to Prabhupada, is like bribing officers and government officers and directors of the government. So rather one should please the president or the prime minister or the king. But everybody works according to his own level of consciousness. So Bhagavad Gita says, whenever we worship the demigods and want to please them, to ask for anything material, it's avidhi purvakam, worshipping the Supreme Lord, but wrongly. In Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that there are many types of yagyas, performances recommended in the Vedic literatures, but actually all of them are meant for satisfying the Supreme Lord. Yagya means Vishnu. In the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that one should work only for satisfying Yagya or Vishnu. The perfectional form of human civilization known as Varnashram Dharma is specifically meant for satisfying Vishnu. Therefore, Krishna says, I am the enjoyer of all sacrifices because I am the Supreme Master. However, less intelligent persons, without knowing this fact, worship demigods for temporary benefit. Therefore, they fall down to material existence and do not achieve the desired goal of life. If, however, anyone has any material desire to be fulfilled, he had better pray for it to the Supreme Lord, although that is not pure devotion, and he will thus achieve the desired result. So, whichever way we want to serve, we should serve the Supreme Lord, whether with desires, no desires, desire for moksha, Just everybody should worship the Supreme Lord. Although Hiranyakashipu offered his obeisances unto Lord Brahma, he was strongly inimical towards Lord Vishnu. This is a symptom of an asura. Asuras worship the demigods as being separate from the Lord, not knowing that all the demigods are powerful because of being servants of the Lord. If the Supreme Lord were to withdraw the powers of the demigods would no longer be able to offer benedictions to their worshippers. The difference between a devotee and a non-devotee or asura is that a devotee knows that Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and that everyone derives power from him. Without worshipping the demigods or particular powers, a devotee worships Lord Vishnu, knowing that if he desires a particular power, he can get that power while acting as Lord Vishnu's devotee. Therefore, in the Shastra, it is recommended a person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of material desires, free from material desires, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the personality of Godhead. Even if a person has material desires, instead of worshipping the demigods, he should pray to the Supreme Lord, so that his connection with the Supreme Lord will be established and he'll be saved from becoming a demon or a non-devotee. Just like Dhruv Maharaj. Dhruv Maharaj also did tapasya, but he did tapasya for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu. He pleased Lord Vishnu with his tapasya. So just see the difference. Dhruv Maharaj did tapasya only for 6 months. And he got such wonderful benedictions from Lord Vishnu that he said, okay, you will rule over the material world, and when you leave the body, you'll come back to me. Because by the end of his tapasya, Dhruv Maharaj said, forget it. I was looking for a kingdom better than my grandfather. I don't want anything. All I want is the Lord. But here, Hiranyakashipu, he did tapasya for hundreds, celestial years, but not to please Lord Vishnu. He pleased Lord Brahma, and then he will get the benediction. For that, to fulfill those benedictions, or to get the kingdom of the universe, he had to do so much of fighting and this, that. Dhruva didn't have to fight with anybody. And in the end, Lord Vishnu will come and kill him. Hiranyakashipu will be killed. So what's the point in doing so much of tapasya and to get killed in the end and not even enjoying whatever he won or whatever he captured? He didn't even enjoy it. We'll read about it later. But Dhruva Maharaj, on the other hand, he was always blissful. That's a difference. Since Vishnu is the supreme, by worshipping Vishnu, one can fulfill all one's desires. There is no need to divert one's attention to any demigod. Utthaya pranjali prava, ikshimano drisha vibhum, harshashru pulakod, pedo gira gadgadya granat. Then getting up from the ground and seeing Lord Brahma before him, the head of the Daityas was overwhelmed with jubilation. With tears in his eyes, his whole body shivering, he began praying in a humble mood, with folded hands and a faltering voice to satisfy Lord Brahma. Again, see, Shivdev Goswami says, Shri Hiranyakashipu Vacha. He doesn't say Hiranyakashipu, he says Shri Hiranyakashipu. It's so much of respect for Hiranyakashipu. Kalpante kal srishtena yovandhena tamsa vrakam abhivyanak jagadhidam swaya jyoti swarochisha atmana trivrita chedam srijati vati lumpati raja sattvatamo dhamne paraya mahate namaha. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord within this universe. At the end of each day of his life, the universe is fully covered with dense darkness by the influence of time. And then again, during his next day, that self-effulgent Lord, by his own effulgence, manifests, maintains, and destroys the entire cosmic manifestation through the material energy, which is invested with the three modes of material nature. He, Lord Brahma, is the shelter of those modes of nature, Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. See, before asking for any benedictions, he wanted to please Lord Brahma. We can say he was buttering him up, but he wanted to glorify and he wanted to please him so that he can get better benedictions. And he's saying, you are the Supreme Lord within this universe. Actually, Brahmaji is not the Supreme Lord within any universe. He's not responsible for maintenance and destruction and creation. It does secondary creation. But Hiranyakashipu really wanted to please him. The words Abhivyanag Jagad Itam refer to he who creates this cosmic manifestation. The original creator is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The original creator is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna, Lord Brahma, is a secondary creator. When Lord Brahma is empowered by Lord Krishna as an engineer to create the phenomenal world, he becomes a supremely powerful feature within this universe. The total material energy is created by Krishna, and later, taking advantage of all that has been necessarily been created, Lord Brahma engineers the entire phenomenal universe. At the end of Lord Brahma's day, everything up to Swargaloka is inundated with water. And then the next morning, when there is darkness in the universe, Brahma again brings the phenomenal manifestation into existence. Therefore, he is described here as he who manifests this universe. Lord Brahma takes advantage of the three modes of material nature. Prakriti, material nature, is described here as Trivrita, the source of the three material bodies, material modes. Srila Madhvacharya comments on this in this connection that Trivrita means Prakritya. Thus, Lord Krishna is the original creator and Lord Brahma is the original engineer. So all the engineers should be very happy. So we come from Lord Brahma, or the knowledge comes from him. But Hiranyakashipu wanted to really please him by glorifying him before asking for all the benedictions. Nama Adyaya Bijaya Jnana Vijnana Murte Pranindriya Mano Buddhi Vikara Vyaktim Ihushe. I offer my obeisances to the original personality within this universe, Lord Brahma, who is cognizant and who apply his mind and relies intelligence in creating this cosmic manifestation. It is because of his activities that everything within the universe is visible. He is therefore the cause of all manifestations. The Vedanta Sutra begins by declaring that the absolute person is the original source of all creation. Janmadhyasya yata. One may ask whether Lord Brahma is the supreme absolute person. No, the supreme absolute person is Krishna. Brahma receives his mind, intelligence, materials, and everything else from Krishna. And then he becomes the secondary creator, the engineer of this universe. In this regard, we may note that the creation does not take place accidentally because of the explosion of a chunk. So Prabhupada is commenting on this Big Bang theory and whatever nonsensical theories are taught by the scientists or teachers. It doesn't come about by the explosion of a chunk. Brahmaji himself creates everything. Such nonsensical theories are not accepted by Vedic students. The first created living being is Brahma, who is endowed with perfect knowledge and intelligence by the Lord. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaya. Although Brahma is the first created being, he is not independent, for he receives help from the Supreme Personality of Godhead through his heart. There is no one but Brahma at the time of creation, and therefore he receives his intelligence directly from the Lord through the heart. This has been discussed in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam. So he's not independent. He's not the supreme absolute person. That's only Krishna. But Hiranyakashipu really wanted to glorify him. That's all. Lord Brahma is described in this verse as the original cause of the cosmic manifestation. And this applies to his position in the material world. There are many such controllers. All of them are created by the Supreme Lord Vishnu. This is illustrated by an incident described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. When the Brahma of this particular universe was invited by Krishna to Dwarka, he thought that he was only Brahma. Actually, what happened was Brahmaji was invited by Krishna to come to meet him in Dwarka. And when Brahmaji went there, the gatekeepers asked him to come sit in the lobby and Krishna will be right with him. So the gatekeeper went inside to inform Krishna that Brahmaji had come. Krishna, for some reason, whether he wanted to break the pride of Brahmaji or wanted to teach him a lesson, he just sent a message through the gatekeeper that which Brahma has come. So gatekeeper went to ask Brahmaji, Dwarkadish is asking which Brahma has come. So Brahmaji was surprised. He said, what do you mean which Brahma? I'm the only Brahma. I'm the four-headed Brahma who has come here. So gatekeeper went inside and told Krishna. Of course, Krishna knows everything, what was going on. So Krishna came outside. And Brahmaji paid obeisances and he asked, why did you ask this question? I'm the only Brahma. And Krishna, right away, he called all the Brahmas of all the universes. So when they all came in that Sudharma hall, they all assembled from unlimited number of universes. And the Brahmas, the other Brahmas who came, somebody had 16 heads, somebody had 32, 64, 128, 256. And some Brahma had millions of heads. And they all came. And they all bowed down, paid respects to Krishna by bowing down and touching their heads on the ground. And this Brahma, four-headed Brahma, he was completely shocked. He was like overwhelmed seeing everybody. It is mentioned that he felt like he was a rabbit among all the elephants who had come there. So then Krishna asked all the Brahmas, oh, is everything okay in your universe? All the demons are in control. They've been controlled by you. So they all said, yes, everything is fine. And then Krishna sent them back. So this is illustrated by an incident described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. When the Brahma of this particular universe was invited by Krishna to Dwarka, he thought that he was the only Brahma. Therefore, when Krishna inquired from his servant which Brahma was at the door to visit, Lord Brahma was surprised. He replied that, of course, Lord Brahma, the father of the four Kumaras, was waiting at the door. Later, Lord Brahma asked Krishna why he had inquired which Brahma had come. He was then informed that there are millions of other Brahmas because there are millions of universes. Krishna then called all the Brahmas who immediately came to visit him. The Chaturmukha Brahma, the four-headed Brahma of this universe, thought himself a very insignificant creature in the presence of so many Brahmas with so many heads. Thus, although there is a Brahma who is the engineer of each universe, Krishna is the original source of all of them. This is the opulence of Krishna. Tvam jagatastastu uttasthushaschya pranena mukhyena pati prajanam chittasya chittaraman indriyanam patir mahan bhuta gunashayesha. Your Lordship, being the origin of the life of this material world, is a master and controller of the living entities, both moving and stationary, and you inspire their consciousness. You maintain the mind and the acting and knowledge acquiring senses, and therefore you're the great controller of all the material elements and the qualities, and you're the controller of all the desires. In this verse, it is clearly indicated that the original source of everything is life. Brahma was instructed by the supreme life, Krishna. Krishna is a supreme living entity, and Brahma is also a living entity, but the original source of Brahma is Krishna. Therefore, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mattah Parataram Nanya. O Arjun, there is no truth superior to me. Krishna is the original source of Brahma, who is the original source of this universe. Brahma is a representative of Krishna, and therefore all the qualities and activities of Krishna are also present in Lord Brahma. So, as we know, Krishna has 64 qualities. Lord Vishnu or Vishnu, all Vishnu Tattvas, they have 60. Shivji has 55 and Brahmaji has 50 qualities. We can only have 50 qualities up to a higher degree. That's about it. But so Brahmaji has all the 50 qualities, Krishna. So he's a very powerful person. He's in charge of this whole universe. But he's not the Supreme Lord, that's all. Tvam sapta tantun vitanoshi tanva traya chaturhotra kavidyaya cha tvam ek atmatma vatamanade anantapara kavirantaratma. My dear Lord, by your form as the Vedas personified and through knowledge relating to the activities of all the Yagyak Brahmans, you spread the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies of the 7 kinds of sacrifices headed by Agnishtoma. Indeed, you inspire the Yagyak Brahmans to perform the rituals mentioned in the 3 Vedas. Being the supreme soul, the super soul of all living entities, you are beginningless, endless, and omniscient, beyond the limits of time and space. The Vedic ritualistic ceremonies, the knowledge thereof, and the person who agrees to perform them are inspired by the supreme soul. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Matta Smrita Jnanam Abohanam. From the Lord come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. The super soul is situated in everyone's heart. And when one is advanced in Vedic knowledge, the super soul gives him directions. Acting as a super soul, the Lord gives inspiration to a suitable person to perform the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. In this connection, 4 classes of priests known as Ritvik are required. They are mentioned as Hota, Adhvaryu, Brahma, and Udgata. So for the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies, Vedic yagyas, one needs 4 Brahmins to perform the yagya. So these descriptions are given somewhere else by Prabhupada, but too technical. Hota, Adhvaryu, Brahma, Udgata. So they do yagya on behalf of the Yajaman. Tvamev kalo animisho jananam mayurla padya vayaveh shinoshi kutasthatma parmeshcha yajo mahams tvam jiva lokasya cha jiva atma. O my Lord, your Lordship is eternally awake, seeing everything that happens. As eternal time, you reduce the duration of life for all living entities through your different parts, such as moments, seconds, minutes, and hours. Nonetheless, you are unchanged, resting in one place as a supersoul, witness, and Supreme Lord, the birthless, all pervading controller, who is the cause of life for all living entities. Actually, all this is done by the Supreme Lord. But Hiranyakashipu wants to please Brahmaji by saying all this. In this verse, the word Kutastha is very important. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated everywhere, He is a central, unchanging point. Ishvara Sarva Bhutana. The Lord is situated in the core of everyone's heart, as indicated in the Upanishads by the word Ekatvam. Although there are millions and millions of living entities, the Lord is situated as a super soul in every one of them. Nonetheless, He is one in many. As stated in Brahma Samhita, Advaitam Achyutam. He has many forms, yet they are Advaita, one and unchanging. Since the Lord is all-pervading, He is also situated in eternal time. The living entities are described as parts and parcels of the Lord, because He is the life and soul of all living entities, being situated within their hearts as an Antaryami, as enunciated by the philosophy of inconceivable oneness and difference. Since the living entities are part of God, they are one in quality with the Lord, yet they are different from Him. The Super Soul, who inspires all living entities to act, is one and changeless. There are varieties of subjects, objects, and activities, yet the Lord is one. So Lord is one, living entities are unlimited number, but He is situated in everyone's heart. But He is the only one who's Kutastha or unchangeable. But Hiranyakashipu is praising Lord Brahma with the same thing that he should be praising actually Lord Vishnu with the same qualities. But his aim was to kill Lord Vishnu. That's where the demons make all the mistakes. They just can't understand the beauty and power and the mercy of Lord Vishnu. Text 32. Tvattah param na param api aneja de aneja devat ejatcha kinchid vyatiriktam asti vidyah kalaste tanvascha sarva hiranya garbho asi brihat triprishtaha. There is nothing separate from you, whether it be better or lower, stationary or moving. The knowledge derived from the Vedic literatures, like the Upanishads, and from all the sub-limbs of the original Vedic knowledge form your external body. You are Hiranyagarbha, the reservoir of the universe, but nonetheless, being situated as a supreme controller, you are transcendental to the material world, which consists of the three modes of material nature. The word para means the supreme cause, and the apara means the effect. The supreme cause is the supreme personality of God, and the effect is the material nature. The living entities, both moving and non-moving, are controlled by the Vedic instructions, art and science. And therefore, they are all expansions of the external energy of the supreme personality of Godhead, who is the center as a super soul. The Brahmandas, the universes, exist during the duration of a breath of the Supreme Lord. Thus, they are also within the womb of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mahavishnu. Nothing, therefore, is separate from the Supreme Lord. This is the philosophy of Achintya Bheda Veda Tattva. So the living entities are outside and inside everywhere, but not of Brahmaji, but of the Supreme Lord, Vishnu. Vyaktam vibho sthulam idam shariram yenendriya pranam mano gunastvam bhungte sthito dhamani parameshtaye avyakta atma purusha purana. O my Lord, being changelessly situated in your own abode, you expand your universal form within this cosmic manifestation, thus appearing to taste the material world. You are Brahman, the super soul, the oldest, the personality of Godhead. So he's saying, you expand your universal form, or Brahmaji. But Brahmaji doesn't have the universal form. It is said that the absolute truth appears in three features, namely impersonal Brahman, or Brahmjyoti, localized super soul, and ultimately the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna. Cosmic manifestation is a gross material body of the supreme personality of Godhead, who enjoys a taste of the material mellows by expanding his parts and parcels. The living entities were qualitatively one with him. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, is situated in the Vaikuntha planets, where he enjoys the spiritual mellows. Therefore, the one absolute truth, Bhagavan, pervades all by his material cosmic manifestation, the Supreme Brahman effulgence, and his personal existence as a Supreme Lord. So all this, whatever he is telling Brahmaji, it's valid for the Supreme Lord, Krishna, or Vishnu, but not for Brahmaji. Sorry, it's little technical shlokas, but we'll come to the wonderful shlokas a little later. Ananta Vyakta Rupena Yenedam Akilam Tatam Chidachit Shakti Yuktaya Tasmai Bhagavate Namaha. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme, who in his unlimited, unmanifested form has expanded the cosmic manifestation, the form of the totality of the universe. He possesses external and internal energies and a mixed energy called the marginal potency, which consists of all the living entities. The Lord is endowed with unlimited potencies, which are summarized as three, namely external, internal, and marginal. The external potency manifests this material world, internal potency manifests the spiritual world, and the marginal potency manifests the living entities, which are mixtures of internal and external. So living entity, although it is spiritual, but what is a mixture of internal and external? Because it comes under the control of material energy. The living entity, being part and parcel of the Para-Brahman, is actually internal potency. But because of being in contact with material energy, is an emanation of material and spiritual energies. Or sometimes we can say his consciousness becomes material. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is above the material energy and is engaged in spiritual pastimes. The material energy is only an external manifestation of his pastimes. So that is the position of living entity. And this Hiranyakashipu was telling Lord Brahmaji, these are all your energies. Yadi dasyasya bhi matan varanme varadottama utebhyas svad visrishtebhyo marityur ma bhun mama prabho. Now he is coming to the real point. O my Lord, best of the givers of benediction, if you will kindly grant me the benediction I desire, please let me not meet death from any of the living entities created by you. See, that was a loophole. He said, let me not meet death from any of the living entities created by you. Lord Vishnu is not created by Brahmaji. So there was a loophole. After being created from the navel of Garbhadaksha Vishnu, Lord Brahma, the original created living being within the universe, created many other different types of living entities to reside in this universe. Therefore, from the beginning of creation, the living entities were born of a superior living entity. They didn't come from chemicals. They come from Brahmaji. Brahmaji made them. Ultimately, Krishna is a supreme living being, the father of all others. Aham bija pradapita. He is a seed-giving father of all living entities. Thus far, Hiranyakashipu has adored Lord Brahma as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and has expected to become immortal by the benediction of Lord Brahma. Now, however, having come to understand that even Lord Brahma is not immortal, because at the end of the millennium, Lord Brahma will also die, Hiranyakashipu is very carefully asking him for benedictions that will be almost as good as immortality. His first proposal is that he not be killed by any of the different forms of living entities created by Lord Brahma within this material world. And then further he asks, Na antar bahirdiva na naktam anyasam adapi chayudha na bhumo na ambare mrityur na narer na mrigarapi. Grant me that I not die within any residence or outside any residence. So, see, he's asking, like he's trying to cover all his points. During the daytime or at night, not on the ground or in the sky. Grant me that my death not be brought by any other being, by any being other than those created by you, nor by any weapon, nor by any human being or animal. So, nor by any human being or animal. Animal, why animal? Because Hiranyaksha was killed by Varahadev, an animal, or Lord Vishnu came as an animal. So he said, not by an animal either. Hiranyakashipu was very much afraid of Vishnu's becoming an animal to kill him because his brother had been killed by Vishnu when the Lord took the shape of a boar. He was therefore very careful to guard against all kinds of animals. But even without taking the shape of an animal, Vishnu could kill him by hurling a Sudarshan Chakra, which can go anywhere without the Lord's physical presence. So it was not a big deal for the Lord to kill him. But Hiranyakashipu was asking for all these benedictions to become kind of immortal. Therefore, Hiranyakashipu was careful to guard against all kinds of weapons. Although Sudarshan Chakra doesn't come under the jurisdiction of Brahmaji, but still he asked, okay, I don't want to be killed by any weapon. He guarded against all kinds of time, space, and countries because he was afraid of being killed by someone else in another land. There are many other planets, higher and lower, and therefore he prayed for the benediction of not being killed by any resident of any of those planets. There are three original deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara. Hiranyakashipu knew that Brahma would not kill him because he has pleased Brahmaji. But he also wanted not to be killed by Lord Vishnu or Lord Shiva. Consequently, he prayed for such a benediction. Thus, Hiranyakashipu thought himself securely protected from any kind of death caused by any living entity within this universe. He also carefully guarded against natural death, which might take place within the house or outside of the house, or in the day or night, or in the ground or in the sky. That's how demons work. They just don't want to die. Text 37-38. Vyasubhir vasu madbhir vasurasur mano mahoraga apratidondatam yudhe ekapatyam chadehinam sarvesham lokapalanam mahimanam yathatmana tapo yoga prabhavanam yanna rishyati karhichit. Grant me that I not meet death from any entity, living or non-living. Grant me further that I not be killed by any demigod or demon or by any great snake from the lower planets, because we have read how the lower planets are Nagaloka and how big snakes are there. Since no one can kill you in the battlefield, you have no competitor. Therefore, grant me the benediction that I too may have no rival. Give me sole lordship over all the living entities and presiding deities, and give me all the glories obtained by that position. Furthermore, give me all the mystic powers attained by long austerities and the practice of yoga, for these cannot be lost at any time. See, so many benedictions he asked for. Lord Brahma obtained his supreme position due to long austerities and penances, mystic yoga meditation, and so on. Hiranyakashipu wanted a similar position. The ordinary powers achieved by mystic yoga, austerities, and other processes are sometimes vanquished, but the powers obtained by the mercy of the Lord are never vanquished. Hiranyakashipu therefore wanted a benediction that would never be vanquished. So he, according to his brain intelligence, he thought for everything and he wanted to cover all aspects so that he does not die. And actually, it's not mentioned here. Some of the Purana, it is mentioned that he asked for benediction that he should not be killed in any of the months that is created by Brahmaji. So no, not in the 12 months. So it is said that Lord Vishnu or Nrsimhadev killed him in the month of Purushottam, in the Purushottam month, Adhik Mas. So many benedictions he asked. And it seems impossible to kill him. And he asked for no rival, no competitor in the battlefield. So he wanted to defeat everybody and take over their properties to enjoy them. So thus ends the 3rd chapter, 7th canto, entitled Hiranyakashipu's Plan to Become Immortal. So we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, this celestial years is equal to 1200 years of the earth. Am I right?
Not 1200. 1 day is equal to 1 year.
1 day is equal to 1 year.
Yeah, 1 day of them is equal to 1 year of ours.
So 365.
Well, 360 times 100, so 36,000 years.
36,000. I don't know, somewhere I have read this 1200 figure is somewhere. I don't know what it relates to. But in some of the scriptures I have read 1200. I don't know what it relates to. So I thought that is celestial years. And I'm not recollecting. So 365 into 100.
Yeah, 360 times 100, so 36,000 years of human beings.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji.